Hi, Daddy.
Give you a kiss.
Just kidding.
That's awesome. Your daughter can call you Daddy. Yeah, you never call me that. And so you are our oldest daughter. We love you. We're so proud of you. You were married here about a year ago on this stage just a week ago. And you're the oldest of 5 kids. And you and I wrote this book together. And maybe just tell them a little bit about it, and then I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so super exciting. Hopefully everybody got a free copy in the lobby, but there's a study guide along with it. So you started this a couple years ago as a YouVersion plan, actually. It's been completed about 90,000 times, which is awesome. 90,000 people have learned about God as Father in prayer. And we decided to turn it into a book. So last summer we started writing, and you would send me ideas, and I would send you ideas back. And it was a really fun process just to reflect. And I think we both learned a lot just about our relationship with each other and reflecting on that and trying to make that helpful for ways that we've healed and worked through things. So that's really the main idea, is literally just all that you talked about, learning to pray to God as Father. That's the biggest part.
And I just want to say publicly, I'm so proud of you. I'll cry. I always cry talking to my girls. I know. And any man who says you shouldn't cry, he's not had a daughter yet. But you're a godly, strong, brilliant young woman. It's an honor to do the project with you. And we just wanted to maybe give an example of father-child love and affection and relationship. So maybe we take a seat, and I was just going to start with a story, and I just wanted to publicly thank you. Do you remember the wrap you up like a burrito story? So when Ashley was little, maybe you talk about her bedtime routine when you were a little girl.
Yeah, so every night it included prayer, but you would read me a Bible story, we would pray together, just talk about the day, make sure I was doing okay before I went to sleep, and then you would wrap me up like a burrito.
She always wanted me to tuck her in with so.
I don't know why, but that's what you called it. So that was pretty fun, and we had a special conversation one night, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so every night I would sing with her, and so I just want to publicly apologize for that. Yeah, this is not the lead vocalist voice, and we would pray together, and we would read the Bible, and when you were little, I remember there was one year every night I would read the Bible, and you'd be like, okay, read the story of the raising of Jairus' daughter. So we read the raising of Jairus every night. She's like, bring her back. So this little girl got resurrected every night. How old were you when? That's back when I had bangs. Yeah. Oh, the good old days. Yeah. I'm just sort of living my glory. Yeah, it's good. But I didn't have a beard. So yes or no on the beard?
I like the beard.
Okay. All right. I prayed about that. Good. All right. Clash to the beard. Okay. How old were you when you first read through the entire ESV study Bible?
I was in 3rd grade. You tried to bribe me by telling me that I would go to Disneyland if I did it. I didn't need the bribe. I told you I didn't want to go to Disneyland. We ended up going anyways, but I did it on my own, yeah.
Yeah, we're coming out with a parenting book, Bribing Kids God's Way. It's great. It's going to be a bestseller. It's going to be great. And so there was one night I was tucking you in, and I prayed and you prayed. And then you looked at me. You probably didn't remember it. I quoted it in the book. And it was a revolutionary moment in my life. And I believe it was tucking you in as a little girl that has led to this book and this sermon series. And you said something to the effect of, I am glad that I have a daddy on earth and a daddy in heaven who love me. It's nice that I can talk to either of you anytime I want, and you will hear me and help me. Good night. And he went to sleep.
My little wisdom for the night.
And it hit me in the moment, I'm not just your dad, I'm his son. And if I can learn how he fathers me, then I can learn how to father you. And so at that moment, I was turning out the light in your room, and I felt like God was turning on the light in my soul. Like my little girl, from the lips of infants, the Bible talks about praise has been ordained. That at that moment, it was like, I'm not just a father, I'm a son, and I have a father. And that you were willing to call me and God Father, it put this huge sense of opportunity on me that I needed to treat you in such a way that when you heard the word Father, it wasn't a trauma trigger, but it was a treasure trigger. You knew you were treasured. So I was going to ask you, for parents that are, they've got little kids, we got a lot of families here at the church, healthy habits for a spiritual environment to help raise their kid to learn about the Lord in prayer?
Yeah, I think you and Mom did a really good job of modeling a life of prayer. You prayed with us and for us, and it was constant. It wasn't just that we prayed when something went really bad or when something was really good. It was pretty much every day we would pray, like on the way to school, thank God for things, pray for dinner. We had a journal that we would write out as a family, people and things that we were praying for, and we could keep track and see and cross things off and thank God for things. And I always read the Bible before we went to bed and prayed then and prayed that God would teach us. So the Bible reading and the prayer are always very connected. We do devotionals during dinner and things like that. And but it was just constant. And I remember both of you just stopping in the middle of the day and praying for us. And sometimes we were like, what's going on? And it felt a little weird. But now I appreciate that, God brought something to mind for you to be praying in that moment. And that you and Mom were faithful to do that, even in public places or in front of our friends sometimes. I remember Mom praying for a lot of things like parking spots. And, he always seemed to answer her. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but it was good because we would pray for so many things and constantly, but you taught us that even if God didn't answer in the way that we expected or in that exact moment, it didn't mean that he wasn't listening. It just meant that he had a different answer or a different timing and that we didn't have to worry that God wasn't hearing us. But it was always a very unified thing that the family would do together and that we would just keep praying until we felt like we had an answer. And sometimes that took a while, but it taught us to be patient.
So you're bilingual. You've got a master's degree in Spanish. You love Spanish speakers. How is for a kid learning prayer kind of like teaching a kid a second language?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, for kids, it's just very natural to learn to talk to your dad. Like, you don't have to teach them. If you're not scary, they just want to be around you and they want to talk to you. And it's similar with just learning to pray to God as your dad. I mean, I learned Spanish starting when I was really little, which helped. I guess your brain is more malleable and things like that. But prayer was like that. Languages kind of just make sense to me. Prayer just kind of made sense to me, and it wasn't difficult. There was no formula or specific way of praying. There's things like the Lord's Prayer that give us a model, but I was never reprimanded for praying the wrong thing. I know we prayed some pretty silly things sometimes, but they weren't wrong. And you and Mom were always very encouraging of just making progress and little steps here and there. And if we wanted to pray on our own, that was great. You would encourage us. And just every little step we made and every time we wanted to pray, you would just encourage us to keep doing it.
Let me ask you a couple of specific examples in your life. We were in the hardest season as a family. We were transitioning from another ministry. There was a lot of safety issues. It was a very complicated, very difficult season. I prayed, God spoke to me and said that we couldn't move until you graduated. And so I came home and told you that, and you burst into tears because that was the desire of your heart, and that's what you'd been asking God. And I asked God, and he told me, Ashley needs this. And I was like, okay, then I'll do this. And then when it came to graduation, you were a great student. You were, I think, President's Award winner, best scholar, athlete, leader, and everybody was getting ready for college, and you'd driven your whole life to go to college and get your scholarship. And we were moving. We had no idea where we were moving. We didn't know we were coming to Arizona. We didn't know we were going to plant this church. We had no idea what we were doing. And so everybody in your school, in your class, they got to put on their college sweatshirt for their declaration day. Maybe tell that story.
Yeah, so I wore a Gap t-shirt because I wanted to take a gap year.
Because we didn't know where we were going.
I was just really exhausted from being in high school, just a lot of drama going on. And so we were praying about it, and the desire of my heart was to heal up and grow in my faith, because I'd been to private Christian school my whole life, and I knew I wanted to go to a big university, but I wasn't sure if I was spiritually ready for that. And so I just wanted to take some time, solidify my faith. And so I was praying about it, you were praying about it, and we came together and came up with the idea. God kind of showed us at the same time to take a gap year and go to Costa Rica to go to Bible college.
Would your dad have ever said, hey, we're in a crisis,
No.
Please go to another country, 18-year-old daughter
No.
by yourself? Yeah,
I went alone. and I was really surprised that you were on board, but we both felt like that came from God, so we had confidence in that. But it was very creative. I mean, we'd been praying for these desires of growth and for me to just have a solidified faith, and that's how he came to make it happen. I mean, it was a really cool way of
and
it
how
working.
did that season, just with the Lord, to focus on prayer and Bible reading, and as a young woman, you're your own relationship with the Lord. Sometimes you borrow your parents' faith until you get your own. You had your own from a young age, but this really solidified it.
Yeah, I learned a lot about, I didn't have cell service, I didn't have Wi-Fi, I only talked to you guys like once a month. I was there for 4 months.
We were freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, I flew there alone, like nobody spoke English, I had to figure out the currency, like there were a lot of things. I just turned 18. And I think it was really cool just to like actually be disconnected from, I mean, first of all, from drama and pain and just hard things that were going on. But then the only thing I could connect to was God. Like we had time that was set aside at Bible school for like 2 hours every morning that we had to just pray and do our devotional time. And there was nothing else that was expected of us. We had to just sit there and do it. And so I learned that was like a good habit, that I would just heal a little bit every day. I talked to God a little bit every day, and progress was slowly made in that process.
And then lastly, you got married last year. How did prayer as a young woman, because you better hear from God for certain things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, I wanted to leave the country after
Argentina.
college. I wanted to move to Argentina and be a missionary. So the desire was good. The desire to be a missionary and serve God was good. But I kind of had some issues. I didn't ever want to get married, and I just was kind of angry at a lot of men for different reasons. That's a different story. But thankfully, Landon, my now husband, and I were friends, and I felt like God, he's nodding right now. He's really proud of himself. So I was praying about being friends with him and what that was supposed to look like. And I'm a very black and white person, so I was either like, okay, God, I'm going to marry him, or I'm never going to talk to him again. That's just kind of how I am. And so there wasn't like a lot of gray area for me. And so I'd applied for this job in Argentina, and I opened up the rejection email, and literally, Landon's cheering. I opened it up, and I literally heard a voice in my head that said, you're going to stay here and you're going to marry Landon. And I was like, but God, I want to be a missionary. And he's like, you're going to do that right here in Arizona. And so that's what I've been doing since then. And he works at the church here, and I work for you at Real Faith. And so we've done our ministry together, and the desires of my heart have been granted in different ways, and translating and things into Spanish and all that. I've been using all my gifts there, but it's just cool. Like every time I have a desire that I bring to God, he answers it, but usually in a different way than I expect. So it's been great to be just united with Landon in our ministry and see how that's even more fruitful than I could have just done on my own.
Well, and I just want to publicly honor and thank you, since you're the executive director of Real Faith. The ministry doubled this year, December, due to, well, you set it all up. I yell and then you make things happen. That's how we do this. But December, I got to get out more sermons and Bible teaching than any month in my entire life under your leadership and architecting. Millions and millions and millions. And so I just wanted to say what an honor it is to get Bible teaching out with my daughter and have you translating into Spanish, having you write with me. And then this week, Wednesday morning, you're going to teach real women?
Yeah, so during the sermon series, I'm going to be teaching on Wednesdays, which is super exciting, a little scary, but yeah, it should be good. And so I'll just keep expanding on everything that you're saying in the sermons. Yeah.
So she'll apply it to the women here on Wednesday morning. We're going to air it online Wednesday night, and I'll teach real men on Wednesday night. So real women will air just before real men on Wednesday. I love you. We've gone far too long. We can cut a song. I'm going to ask you to close our time in prayer, if you'd hold your daddy's hand and pray for the series and for the book.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for the gift of prayer that you give us, Lord, that we can come to you at any time with any requests and you'll hear us, Lord. I thank you for all the prayers that you've answered in my life, and I pray for everyone that's listening to this sermon series, Lord, that you would start to heal any father wounds that they may have. I know we all have them, Lord, so I pray that you would open those up and just come in and be a healing presence, Lord, that you would just surround everyone with the Holy Spirit, and that you would just work mightily through your word and through the gift of prayer. Amen.